Good afternoon, guys. Anita Dawn here from Cell Pilates. How are you today on this fairly nice wintry day outside? I hope you're staying safe and that all your family are safe as well. I personally don't know anybody who's been really ill, but I think it's important that we do realize there are a lot of sick people out there. Sometimes it's fairly easy to forget. I hope you can hear me. I don't have a mic today. A lot of the power lines here are down. I just got to check my mic, MacBook. Yeah, maybe you couldn't hear me before. Can you hear me now? So yeah, we are going to use the anchor point. So these are the anchor points. And it's quite difficult to do the session without, but I will show you what we would normally do if we didn't have an anchor point and show you how much greater the benefit. But today you can actually do it without the anchor point and without the 1 meter bands, but you're not going to feel the benefit of the band and the anchor point. Yeah, so we are going to be looking at squats and lunges today. And as I say, I hope you'll be able to hear me over here. And I feel a bit nude without my microphone. Right, okay, so we got a few more minutes. Yeah, so this morning I did our very first lit cardio session. So I can't wait to hear how you found that, whether you liked it, didn't like it, or just, it's nice to have a change, isn't it? So definitely I'm all about change, and variety is the spice of life, but sometimes I change things too much. All right, so using the bands, when you start off, we're not going to stretch them too much, so it's probably okay on the hands, but going forward, I do actually sell sometimes straps that go with the bands, yeah, and also maybe gloves. I prefer the gloves because you get a really nice wrist alignment by not using the straps, and I think you'll come to experience that. So probably just get the band and the anchor point to start with. I have put a little tiny video in the Facebook group to show you how to set it up. Okay, so I have got a couple of minutes here just in case you haven't seen that video and you've got your door anchor and you're raring to go. I actually have 2 door anchors set up here, so it was going to save a little bit of time. We tend to work with 3 positions: high, medium, and low, high, mid, and low. So that is actually supposed to be mid. It's just kind of dropped down a little bit there. And all the bands I've got here are equivalent to £5. They're the easiest band on the market. And there's ways that you can actually make them more challenging. All right. So how are we doing for time? Just about ready to start. Yeah, and I've got because we're taking it easy, then we're not going to do, we'll do a little bit of a warm up. When we use the bands, mustn't start on time. Here we go. Mustn't start early. So when we use the bands, we're holding on, and the shoulders, we need to stabilize the shoulders. So if we just create shoulder awareness, elevate and depress the shoulders, we need to think about keeping them down all the time. Yes. And then if we protract and retract, so we don't want to be protracted all the time and let the bands pull us into protraction. We need to be retracting and coming into neutral. So you're halfway between protraction and retraction, and that strength helps to strengthen up the shoulders. All right, so I'm always cueing about the shoulder alignment and then possibly neutral spine. So let's have a look at squats in general. So squats, ideally want to keep the weight centered over the feet. We lead with the pelvis. All right, so we tend to inhale down and inhale up. It's very much about the neutral spine. That's very, very important. And gravity, make sure you're not dropping the shoulders with gravity. So there's a slight bit of connection with retraction. All right, feet hip distance apart. So we want to be able to keep the knees behind the toes, but some people still find that's quite painful. And then we recommend that they do wall squats. Now, wall squats, I don't find that sort of comfortable to do. And quite a lot of work on the quads here. So that's where the anchor point comes into it. Yeah. So I've just gone, open the door, pop the anchor around there, and then I've attached a carabiner. You don't need the carabiner for where you're at the moment. So I've got one band here, and I've just looped it through the anchor point. Yeah, and it's quite a short band, and I'm just going to hold it through with the fingers there and just get a little bit of lean back. Oh, by the way, the door, it will explain to you about the door, but ideally you want a door that opens away from you. And if you can't, then either you lock it if you've got a key in the lock, or you could put one of those door stoppers underneath. Excuse me. All right, but we're not going to swing on this and put all our weight on it, but it's really nice to know that it's secure. All right, and also just pull the anchor point, make sure it doesn't suddenly give way because you haven't pulled it through all the way to where it needs to go. All right, so automatically here I've got a little bit of stretch on the band, and it's pulling me forward in the shoulders, so I need to draw the shoulders down and back. Okay, but I want to have that stretch and I want that support. So I'm going to take the hips back, and with the band I can stay a little bit more upright. Okay, so I don't need, see how my knees hardly move, and for people who have knee pain when they do squats or just generally, this is very, very friendly to do. Yeah, so if I didn't have the band, I would fall backwards, and generally we need to lean forward here. And then if we lean forward, so if we keep the knees still and then come like this, we're leaning forward too much, and then we put stress on the lower back. Okay, so we don't want to do that. So then if we keep the knees still, we fall back. So with the band and the anchor point. So really very, very nice. So challenging the shoulders, really good to strengthen up through the shoulders. So you see what a great alignment that is. And I can focus on the technique. I can also add a row here. So it's a compound movement, lots of different muscle groups coming all the way up. All right. So functionality, particularly if people have knee problems. All right. And I'm going to be doing different muscle groups every day. So I just want to talk about the legs today. And then if we're looking at lunges. So a lot of people, let's have a look at the back lunges. It's easier. Feet hip distance apart. You're going to just practice stepping straight back to start with, because as soon as you step back, people tend to go on that tightrope line, and then they lose their balance. All right, so we want to create stability, but it's still a balance challenge to do back lunges. So this one here, I can really focus on my technique. I can step back and then I lower down. So I've got assistance here. This is helping me to control it. So I step back and feel really controlled. My heels up at the back, and then I can stay here and then come up. Whereas without that, if I step back, then I can feel it more in my knees. All right, so over time, if we do this, and then as we make the band a little bit looser, less resistance on the band, and then over time I've just got one finger, I'm not using the band at all, but it's there if I need it. So say for example I've gone down too far, and I could pull myself up. It's not a lot of resistance, but you can do that. Yeah. Alrighty. So and it's really nice to look at. So that's the back lunge. The forward lunge, I'll show you in a moment. But side lunges, yeah, it's good to lunge around the clock face, so to speak. So we lunge forward, diagonal, and to the side. Okay, so that is a really difficult one to practice, because people just don't have that strength in their knees and the thighs, so then they can feel it in their knees and they just keep traveling to the side. So this is brilliant. I can really see, I'm sure you can see straight away that I've just got, and I can lower down and I'm working into the thigh, but this helps me to break and stop me moving out, and then we do it on both sides. So really very, very functional. So when we look at forward lunges, again, forward lunges are particularly challenging because of the momentum of going forward. Yes, so feet hip distance apart again, and we do kind of lunges all the time when we walk. So this is a little baby lunge. Yeah, we're not looking at huge lunges, and eventually we can progress it because it is such a beautiful exercise to strengthen your gait. All right, but we want to make sure that when we land, we lower and we don't continue going forward like this. Okay, because you've got all the weight going through the knee. So again, when you're learning, I might take 2 bands on this. I've just got one, but I've got it longer. It's just the 1 band halved is a little bit too tight by the door. Okay, so I've got here and I got there, and I can really, as I push into the band, it's just stopping my weight traveling forward. And so that's the assistance, but also the challenge side of the band is when I use one side like this. Yeah, so my body wants to twist around. Yeah, wants to twist. So, or if we go on the same side, yeah, my body wants to twist away. So it's working the core. And again, so all of these standing exercises, when we're pulling, pushing, and holding on, we're working the core. Whereas if you're not really working the core, you've got to add on having here. Yeah, but as soon as we close the chain and we hold on to something, it does work the core a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. So just if you have that already, just play around with that. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Put a little question in the comments there, and you can always personal message me. That's absolutely fine. All right. So do go first of all with the squat and then the back lunge. And have a go. So I've just, as I say, opened up the band, so it's just one single loop here, and maybe over time you might want to buy a second band as well, but you don't need to at the moment. All right, so for I could use the mid anchor for lunges. Okay, so it doesn't it stops me going back. Could probably do front ones here. It's just yeah, so from the midpoint I could do it in the mid anchor here. All right, so this stops me going forward, but when it's midpoint, it doesn't help to lift me back up again as much. It just stops me going forward. Yeah. Okay, so have a bit of fun with those. Always be mindful that the wrist is straight, and just see how the hands are going. If you have issues with the hands and wrists, then there's always things that we can do with that. All right, guys. So I will look forward. We're going to do some. What are we doing tonight? We are doing some mobility. Yeah, we're doing mobility with this. Still, you need the anchor, but there's always options. If you haven't got one, there's still stuff that you can do. Okay. All right. Thanks for joining me. You guys have a great afternoon, and do pop when you're watching it, when you're with me, do say hello. And people don't tend to, you're not joining me so much these days. Are you busy, or are you just, avoiding me? Are you? All right. So if you're watching the replay, pop #replay. And let me have your comments. Let me have your feedback. I love feedback. It doesn't matter. Just that's the way I deliver better things for you. Yeah, just things that work for you. Yeah. But when it's a one-way process, I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm just thinking, well, most people like this, so I guess they will like this. And yeah. Okay, guys, you have a good afternoon. Anita Dawn signing off, and I will see you at 5:30 later. Bye for now.